I'm actually not quite sure how I should start this video, because I have to say the phone that I'm going to give you my first impressions about today is baffling me a little bit, and I'm talking about the Nubia M2. Because for some reason it actually doesn't seem to be properly released, because I only saw it by accident kinda on Cyberport, and there I have access to, so I immediately ordered it and I got it today, played for it with a few hours, and I want to share my first impressions with you. And it's actually so kinda new that I couldn't even find proper specs for it, which is weird. I will add that later on in the review, but as for right now it is what it is. What it is as well though is for right now the quite high price at around 450 euros, which is on the higher end of the spectrum for a Snapdragon 625 phone. But it is a premium one, and you will see what I mean by that in just a few seconds. First of all, the design and build. It feels so well done, super sturdy, nice metal back, and actually it's quite a grippy metal back, which is nice to see. There is a little bit of a curve towards the side. The bed is pretty much flat, just a ever so slight little curving towards the back, same as on the front, because there it also smoothly transitions over to the side and it feels incredibly well. Also the buttons, nice tactile feedback, maybe a little bit more click would have been nice. I'm not the biggest fan of the volume rocker on the left side, but it works out really nice because overall, with the gold trim around on this black device, it looks so nice. Yes, camera protrudes just a little bit, but it is a dual cam. And otherwise, I will go into more of that in the full review, but I just have to say, in terms of design, yes, it's maybe not the most compact one, because you see quite some black border around it. And what you can already also see, it is using an AMOLED display. And this is the weirdest one that I have ever recorded of, and I'm sorry for the flickering. This is a thing of cameras where they have an issue. So you definitely don't see any of this in real life. At least I don't at all. But actually talking already about the thing here, before I'm going into the display, the fingerprint reader, this time it's on the front and it works reliably. Absolutely top. It's also quite fast, especially if you turn the screen on, it is pretty much instant. If you have to turn it on with the screen, it takes just a little bit of a split second of a waiting time, but it's fine. But getting back to the display. In terms of screen display differences, the only thing that we can change is the color temperature. I think usually you can also change the saturation, because I have to actually say colors seem a little bit off, especially colors like, for example, reds. They look a little bit on the weirder end of the spectrum, but otherwise, yes, I know a few people say that 1080p on an AMOLED display for 5.5 inches is not enough. For me, it looks absolutely nice, because it's also quite bright, viewing angles are stable, and I will give you a little bit more information than in the full review. Same as for the speaker, which is downfiring, but on the left side, which is a little bit awkward since I hold my finger here and then it blocks. But usually it was actually quite loud, maybe a little bit on the lower end quality sound, so maybe a little bit hollow, but still overall absolutely nice. I will of course check the headphone jack as well. But when it comes to the performance, I have to tell you one thing. This is using the Snapdragon 625. Not maybe like just on the video that I did about the BQ Aquarius X Pro that has a 626. This one actually feels a little bit better. Maybe it's because of the AMOLED that usually in general just feels a little bit smoother, but it performs super nice, as you can see, pretty much completely lag free. Also the browser, we have already 4 gigs of RAM, so it is an absolutely top performer. And I would say this is on par with the very best 625 phones that I had. So very well optimized, even though it's just running 6.0.1. So if that is an issue for you, yeah, that's something that I will talk about. But the battery with 3630 milliamp hours is quite big for a 5.5 inch. So this is pretty much, I would say, Moto Z Play territory, even a little bit bigger. Also AMOLED, very efficient, not any Nougat standby drain issues. This means that the battery life should be fantastic, and if it is, I will tell you in the full review. But getting back to the software, let me actually cover that just a little bit, because as you can already see, yeah, it is just running 6.0.1, if I actually see this here. And I'm really sorry for the flickering, I just can't avoid it. I tried it, but it is what it is. But actually, something that I just recently started doing is, if you want to see the camera software, you can see you have the pretty much typical but what is it, Nubia UI software. So you have some extra features for photo. Of course you have the manual mode and so on, some extra functions and so on. I'm not someone who's really good in explaining software, but at least you saw it just real quick. But I would actually say let's get into the crux. The camera, I can't judge it yet. I did some quick test shots and so on. For example, the selfie cam doesn't have autofocus, because even if you look at it on the paper, it's a dual cam. I can't really judge that. I didn't really do any shots outside yet, but the selfie cam looks solid, but it's a 60 megapixel cam, so it should be better. Since there is no autofocus, that's a little bit unfortunate, but the video looks very smooth. and quality should be fine. How good it is, I can't say yet, but at least from what I see in terms of specs and overall quality of Nubia devices, this could be actually one of the best phones in terms of camera quality with a Snapdragon 625. But not to make this too much longer, what's my first impression after using this for a few hours? Design, I like it. Yes, it's maybe not super compact, because if we quickly compare this with something like the Lenovo P2 that has a 5100 milliamp hour battery, you can see it's actually a little bit taller. It's pretty much the same in width and not that much thinner. It feels a little bit smaller after in the hand, but I have to say it's not that much. But it's maybe not the most compact one, but it feels super premium. The fingerprint reader is in a great location, at least from my term. We have, of course, the capacitive buttons flanking that you can switch out, but still no recent apps button, not a dedicated one, so you will have to long press the back button. I don't get why they still don't add this, but especially talking about the software that is usually highly customizable, that's the only bummer. The old version, and that we don't have the recent apps button, but I really still like the software, because if you quickly go into that a little bit more, there is this great feature that I've already talked quite a few times already about, because if you want to switch from one app to the other, you have this kind of free finger gestures, and you have way more, because you have also the edge gestures and so on. And I really like the UI, I like the software, and if you can check any of my other Nubia device reviews, I really like the UI. And with not running Nougat, you don't have any standby drain issues, at least I hope for the best here. But not to drag this any further, let's go along further on where I stopped and continued. Design, I like it a lot. The display, colors seem a little bit off, but otherwise it seems high quality. The speaker could be a little bit of a better quality, but it is loud and still, I would say, clear enough. Performance, really, really good. I like what the 625 is doing here, and this on a very optimized level. The battery life, can't judge it yet properly, but just from my experience, it will be fantastic for sure. I like the software. I don't see anything that will change here. The camera, we will see about that in the review, but like I said, it is the price. $450 at the moment is a price where I would say I'm hesitant to recommend it. Not because it's not a great phone, because it seems to be, but it's just too expensive. It just came out, so maybe it should drop quite quickly. So I would say something at around maybe $380 or so sounds very good. $400 still fine, because it seems to be a little bit more on the premium end compared to all the other 625 phones, and then it could actually make a name for it, which is maybe also another problem. It's Nubia. That's not a brand many people know yet, so they have a harder time to get some recognition here, but they definitely deserve it. And with this phone on the kind of premium mid-range market, it could be just that. If it is or not, that's something we're going to find out in like maybe 2 weeks in the full review, because I still have to cover the BQ Aquarius Pro first. But that's it. If you liked it, thumbs up, subscription maybe, and some comments down there below. Until then, next time, bye.